Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most captivating and emotional topics out there, forbidden love. Whether it's love against all odds, relationships that defy the rules, or the heartache of being kept apart, these stories will have you feeling all the feels. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's explore the powerful and sometimes painful world of forbidden love. Let's get into it. Story 1. I guess that ultimately this would be optimistic, even though the story doesn't end with us being together. In high school I met and fell in love with one of the bad boys in our small town. He was a year older than me, was a small-time drug dealer and had dropped out of high school. His father was in prison for assault and his mother had a pill problem. His life had been rough from the beginning, but I could tell from the minute I met him that he had so much potential to be anything he wanted. He had such a kindness about him. He did have a full-time job at a construction company at the time, so he was somewhat financially stable. My parents forbid me from seeing him since I was basically a goody two-shoes, straight A student, member of the church, etc. I got the "what will people say" speech a few times as well as the "he's going to ruin your life" version. Of course, I chose him to be my first act of rebellion and we had to create all these elaborate schemes in order to see each other. We had a whole network of people who would cover for us if we wanted to spend time together. He tried so hard to make my parents realize he was trying to turn his life around, but they refused to ever even meet him, going as far as to not let him in the house when I tried to arrange a meeting. I convinced him to get his GED, which he did with flying colors, enroll in a community college and get away from drugs. All this was in an effort to convince my parents we needed to be together. He was seriously the love of my life and my first everything. We would spend hours studying, while I'm sure everyone thought we were just getting high or having sex. Long story short, my parents wouldn't financially support my decision to go to a college close by, and being a terrified 18-year-old, I went to the school they wanted that was 200+ miles away. Looking back, I should have been stronger and told them to shove their money, but I can't change that now. Eventually, the distance got to us and after a year apart we officially ended it and I haven't seen him since. So here is the optimistic ending. Smiley face. He sent me a letter around a year ago by way of a mutual friend, basically thanking me for believing in him all those years ago and helping to get his life on track. He said that no one had ever fought for him as much as I had and that even though it didn't work out between us, he is a better person for having been with me. Reading that was one of the most gut-wrenching and proud moments of my life. He now owns a very successful business in our hometown, has a beautiful wife, 2 kids, a gorgeous house, etc. So that fact that we had a forbidden relationship actually was the catalyst for making sure he got the life he deserved. Story 2. Throwaway because many people still don't know the whole story, but here goes. I had just finished my junior year of high school, and my brother was in college. He was working on a student film and asked me to assist him with the cinematography. I figured, hell yeah, I'll get to hang out with my brother and have a hell of a summer, but man did I have no idea. Just after my last final I went to meet with everyone at the production house they had rented from a friend. As soon as I walked in I saw her, she was doing dishes and I was too shy to look her in the eye. She was beautiful but clearly looked young. At this point I had no idea how young, and I was too shy to really talk to her anyway, so I stuck to my brother and his friends. I later found out she was the little sister of one of my brother's friends, and that she was going to be in 8th grade. Most people think, whoa, what the fuck? But never did I think of her that way until the end of summer. During production we grew closer as friends and eventually the movie was finished. There was a celebration following the completion and during this is when it truly started. I had drank a bit and smoked a bit and happened to be sitting on the couch when she came in and laid down on my lap. I couldn't resist, she was so beautiful and serene the way she was laying. I kissed her, and she kissed me, and this began a relationship that has been hated for years. Early in our relationship we were not allowed to see each other, so we went to extreme measures. I would sneak over to her house in the night and we would lay in her bed and talk for hours before I needed to be home to wake up for school. I spent many a day of my senior year sleeping in class because of this. We were both stupid, I was in my first real long-term relationship and was utterly infatuated. Eventually over time our parents grew accustomed to us and eventually hers grew to like me and mine grew to like her. It is 5 years later now. I will be graduating college and she is graduating high school. She is turning 19 and I am turning 23. We have had difficult times in a relationship model that is hard if not impossible to explain, but we love each other dearly and will be together for a very long time. Hope that's a good story for you, even though I am a terrible writer. TLDR, I met her when I was a senior and she was in 8th grade. 5 years now and we are still together. Story 3. I dated one of my friend's moms. It was the end of high school, and in the last year I'd been hanging out with a new group of friends. During this time, we all hung out at one friend in particular's house, mostly because his parents put up with our shit. His dad was a doctor so he was usually gone at night. His mom was a sweetheart, every one of us thought she was gorgeous. Anyway, we all graduate and it's going to be our last summer together before we're about to head out to our colleges. Well, usually when we'd get home for the night we'd all go watch a movie or something at his place. The thing is, his mom started to join us. We'd have all the lights off, and some of us would be on the couch, some in chairs, etc. I noticed that she sat by me more often than not. It slowly progressed to subtle touches. Maybe she'd move her feet and they'd gently touch my leg enough to be innocent. For a few weeks this went on, and I always shrugged it off, until the touching progressed to the point where I couldn't deny her intentions were sexual. Eventually her foot or hand made its way to my pants. I should have ended it here. I beat myself up for a long time for the choices I made that summer. Being a 19-year-old male, you can probably guess what happened. She went for it, and so did I. I felt her up as my friend was a few feet away. It was dark and we each had a blanket covering us. It was maybe a month or so from the time the subtle touches started to the time we first had sex. To be honest, the sex was great. Normal sex is good, but the excitement of possibly being caught really elevated it into something more. The thing is, it didn't stop at sex. She ended up falling in love with me. We also talked a lot, and after a while divorced her husband. Throughout all of this, my friend remained in the dark, at least to start. I don't know when he put things together, but I know it was before we went public. So we get together. I backed out of the relationship multiple times, but was guilted into coming back, and our relationship actually lasted for 3 years. In a lot of ways she was a great catch, very soft-hearted and emotionally available, supportive, etc. However, the dark side of it was I wasn't happy. I could never really come to terms with what I'd done. I knew I'd crossed my own personal moral boundaries and it ate away at me, and still does if I fall back into thinking about it. I hate what I put my friend through, and in the end I lost all of my friends from high school after making our relationship public. I even lost contact with my parents for a short period of time, although they eventually came around. I've only recently started to move on from it, but it changed me in ways that have been hard to reverse. Before, I'd always considered myself the good guy, now, not so much. It made me a better friend/brother/son to the people still in my life, and to the new ones who have entered. I've told some of the new girlfriends I've had since then, but I'll never tell them that I did that to a friend, only that I was with someone older. It's a huge source of embarrassment/shame for me, and something I'd like to pretend never happened. It feels like a different person, a different lifetime.